Welcome back. First time I didn't say all right. I think I'm getting the hang of this. I got a little nasal thing. If you know me, you know how much I hate being sick. It's a pet peeve of mine. So you know what? We're going to do it. We're going to rock out. We're going to live life. Let's get into it. Like I said, look, a little sick, playing hurt. This is what I do, okay? Look, I fight through things. This is the type of person I am. Do it for you guys, right? Appreciate it. You'll see from the title of this video, I'll get into it a little bit, all the craziness going on with the coaches in college football. But first, I want to start out with my picks last week. They were terrible, right? I didn't understand how bad they were until I looked at them Monday when I was in my class, because they were in. I didn't have them in the folder, right? I didn't have them with me or whatever. And I finally looked at it when I was in my class, and I was like, I went 3-4. It was terrible last week. It was a bad week. It's the worst week I've had all year. I think it's the first time, if I'd have to go through and look, I think it's the first time I've actually lost this week. I mean, I lost a week. I was doing pretty good. I feel like I know college football when it comes to picking games. Clearly last week I didn't. But I also picked 7 games because there was a lot of good games, big games. So maybe I just tried a little too hard. Went bit off a little bit more than I could chew in life. But nonetheless, we'll see how it goes. But I just want to start with that because that was horrible. I mean, that was terrible. All right, so we'll jump in. The coaching carousel, look, look, it started out with USC, right, being the first one, fired their coach, and then LSU, and then it's kind of just been a domino effect ever since. Virginia Tech's now open. Look, Virginia Tech's a job where you're going to go 8-4, maybe 9-3. You know, it's not a powerhouse job. You know, what Frank Beamer did there for 20-some years, right? Like, that was huge. And even, like, for as great as a coach as he was, like 8-4, 9-3 was his thing. You know, late 90s, early 2000s is when he really had his better runs, going to bigger bowl games and stuff like that. But to me, if you're one of them, if you're a school like Virginia Tech, you're not a powerhouse like you think that you are, or, you know, and I think a lot of schools are this way. It's like they think that they're better than what they are, and I get it, but it's one of those things where consistently you're going to be 8-4, 9-3. You know, maybe give your coach a little leeway. If I'm a team like Virginia Tech, and I look at the ACC landscape and how it is I go young. I let that guy build the program for 4 or 5 years. Let him really go through the struggles. Get the right guy in there. I don't know who the right guy for them is. There's a lot of rumors going around. I'll talk about that later, but of a lot of coaches and all the rumors right now, you can't even hear them because you can't even listen to them because half of them aren't true, right? Like, the one thing I'll talk about later, it's like one side saying this, the other side saying this. I think Dave Clawson, the Wake Forest coach, I think they're talking about Virginia Tech liking him. Look, I think if you're Virginia Tech, you go young. Like a lot of these teams that have open jobs, I think you go young and you let these guys build these programs, go through the hardships of doing that. South Carolina did that with Frank Beamer. Frank Beamer's kid, whatever his name is, he's Beamer, I know that for a fact, is like they went really young, kind of went unorthodox with it. And it looks like they're probably going to let him build a program. That's what we need to do with a lot of these. Just let them build the program. But it won't happen because someone's going to want somebody and they're going to throw money at them. But yet again, it's Virginia Tech. Washington's open too. Washington's one of those jobs where I think it's a little bit higher than Virginia Tech, especially in the Pac-12, because the Pac-12 is very winnable. You get the right coach in there, you can pretty much do damage in the Pac-12 with the landscape that there is there. You notice that with Sark when he was there. Took them from very bad to pretty good football team, and then Gary Peterson got in there, took them to the playoff, right? So I think if you get the right guy at that school, you can see progress just because the Pac-12 is not as tough as some of these other conferences. Like the guy they hired, that was bad, right? Like they went young, but it just didn't work out. He had a lot of issues with the players, doing things he shouldn't have done. For them, I think their coaches they should look at is the BYU coach. He's done really well at BYU the last 2 years. Knows the area, kind of knows the region. Like, you need guys like that. But, you know, Washington's, like I said, step up from Virginia Tech, but it's not one of those jobs where it's like everybody's going to flock towards it, right? Especially when there's a better job in the Pac-12 like USC. Washington is second tier of the Pac-12 where you look at Oregon, USC, being the top tier. Washington's just a little under those, but if you get the right coach in there, Washington can be right up there. But I think, like I said, we're seeing a lot of these coaches, just a lot of these schools, and I think last year they gave a lot of these coaches a pass, and this year it's not turning around, so they're just like, screw it, we'll cut our losses. I think that's what Virginia Tech and Washington both did. And there's going to be more jobs open. Miami just fired their AD, and I just saw a report that they're going to do $250 million or increase the budget. I lost the word in my mind, fuck. Increase the budget for their football program. So does that mean a new football coach is coming in? I think Miami is going to get a new coach, and there's rumor that Lane Kiffin, it came out today, Lane Kiffin circles that if the job comes open, Lane's very into it. I don't know if Lane's interested or not. Like, only Lane Kiffin knows that answer. But you're going to start hearing these crazy reports, right? Like, that job's not even open yet, and they're talking about a coach potentially wanting to go there. I think the job does come open, and Miami goes into... When you get the right coach in Miami, you're going to win a lot of football games just because of the region that you have to recruit. But they've not got it right the last few times. So it's one of those things, is that doomed now with the way that they kind of run stuff down there? Or is it you get the right guy back in there and you can really rebuild it? But the job's not open yet, so I'm not going to sit here and talk like it's open. It's not. The big news, I think, around the Midwest, and especially where I go to school at, Michigan State has reportedly offered Mel Tucker a 10-year, $95 million contract. I saw that and I was like, this is dumb. $95 million. Look, I like Mel Tucker. He's done a lot at Michigan State. He has changed the culture, right? It's been really fun up there, going to school there this year. There's energy. Everybody's excited all the time. It's like, wow, a good football team. But $9.5 million a year for a coach, you are telling yourself, you might not say this with the money, like, because you're just like, oh, whatever, we'll pay him to keep him. But when you spend that much money a year on a coach, which that would be just behind Nick Saban. Think about that. Just behind Nick Saban, it is saying we got to win national titles. I know they're not going to sit here and say that and go all that, but if you're paying that much money for a coach and that long of a contract, you're saying you got to bring us a national title. Now, I don't know if you can do that, Michigan State. I don't think you can. I don't, because you look at what there is. Look, I know D'Antonio got them to the playoff, right? They didn't perform in the playoff. You got to compete with Ohio State. Penn State's falling off with James Franklin, and that job will probably be open. You still got Michigan, right? Paying $9.5 million doesn't say we're competing with Michigan. That just says we got a lot of money and we'd like to compete with Michigan. When I look at the $9.5 million, it takes you back to when Harbaugh came in and got 7 for 7. 7 years, $7 million a year at Michigan. Just because you pay so much money for a coach doesn't mean you're going to win a national title. And Michigan's done better than I think the overall pictures looked at it, right? Like Harbaugh's on his way to win 10 games for the 4th time and stuff like that. But when you pay a coach that much money, it's to win a national title. And he hasn't done that, Jim. And he got paid 7. Now you're going to pay 9.5 just behind Saban. I don't foresee it where it's like, you got to win a national title. And there's a lot of logistics problems too that's going to happen. Look, Michigan State's got big donors. IGBA is the biggest one. He is over $6 billion, right? Loves the university. But when you're going to pay $95 million for a coach, and this is where people are not going to like this deal. If it does get signed, it hasn't been signed yet. But Mel went on Draymond's thing and said, I really like Michigan State. But the deal just hasn't been signed, right? It just hasn't. I'm sure it's going to get done. When you offer that much money, it's going to get done. But it's not going to go good up there when last year MSU got rid of the swimming program because there was no money. And when they got their highest donation of $20 million last year for the athletic department. And now you're going to pay $95 for a coach. And you got rid of your swim program because you don't have any money. It doesn't look good. That's all I'm going to say. That's from a non-football standpoint of that's not going to go well up there. As much as the football program's fun and it's good with Mel, everybody likes Mel, Paying that much for a coach and getting rid of programs like the swim program, taking away athletes' careers and stuff like that, it's not going to look good. It's just not going to look good. It's just not, right? I had a kid in my class, a girl, did a video on the swim program getting shut down, and those kids were, I could see it, like they were like, and they talked about the $20 million that was given to the school for athletic department, and none of it was going to the swim program because they had to shut it down. So it's not going to look good at all. It doesn't look good already. That's what I'm saying. That's from a non-football standpoint. Now back to the football, like I said, you're going to pay 9.5. He was getting paid 5.5 now, which was a lot of money to get him from Colorado to go to state. He likes Michigan State. He started his career there. I get all that. But $9.5 million at MSU for a football coach, in my opinion, is a lot of money. When I love MSU, go to school there, you are at best third or fourth consistently on your side of the Big Ten. And that's not even including teams like Wisconsin on the other side, Iowa. I'm just looking at the Big Ten East, where you have Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State, Michigan State. That's all I'm going to say. It's one of those things, it's like, look, I get it, you want to keep him so he doesn't go to LSU. But it's like, at a certain point, you have to realize what you are. And Michigan State has to realize, like Virginia Tech is, historically, you've been 8-4, 9-3 program. And paying someone $9.5 million is not that you're going to say it right now, but when you pay someone that much money, it's to win a national title. If that doesn't get done, there's going to be some chirping done. And I like it. He's done very well. Let's keep him here. But could you be paying him too early as well? Like, that's another question. I don't know. But I just look at $9.5 million a year behind Saban. The expectations jump up. Right now, it's cute. It's a sweet story. You pay him 9.5, expectations jump up. What if you get a little dip? What if next year they go 8-4? The next year they go 8-4. Then they go 9-3. Like, that is what I'm talking about. And like I said, I look at it with Michigan. Look, they brought Jim in, paid him $7. Just because you pay him so much money does not mean you're going to win. That's all I'll say on that one. Like I said, like Mel, but that's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. And it could be a steal at 9.5 because I think the cap is now about 9 is what it sounds like. And I'll talk about the next one I'll talk about here. But look, it used to be 7 was about like where a coach got. Now it's probably up to 9. I get it. But when you start paying 9 for a coach just behind Nick Saban, that's where it gets a little dicey. All right, the next coaching rumor reportedly. This is what you can't look into a lot of this shit. I'm just bringing it up because multiple people have talked about it. And this is where I want to kind of show, look, this shit right now, one side saying this, the other side saying this. So reportedly, Lincoln Riley has been offered 8 years, $96 million deal. That is $12 million a year from LSU. $12 million. $96 million, 8 years. I'll say it again. 8 years, $96 million, $12 million a year. That would make him the highest college football coach by $2 million a year over Nick Saban. And this is, some guy said, what the report was Lincoln Riley got offered it, and Oklahoma has the money to match it, but they most likely won't, so it's depending on if Lincoln wants to leave or not. I don't know. It's one of those things where, what are you doing? My mom just walked downstairs. I have no clue what she's doing. This is how it works on this show. Shit happens all the time. Get distracted. Go with the flow, right? It is what it is. When you look at all these rumors, right? Like this report is like Lincoln Riley got offered this much money, blah, blah, blah. And then last night, I saw Bruce Feldman, who has very much a lot of pull around college football. Knows his stuff, is what I'm saying. This guy knows his shit. And said last night that the Lincoln Riley to LSU rumors are just rumors. They're not true. And then today you see, 8 years, $96 million. A lot of this shit right now that we're hearing is, like I said, you don't know what to believe. You can't believe a lot of it. You have to really look. And a lot of these, they're still in season. They're not worried about a contract per se, right? Like, don't even let them worry about it. But like I said, now it moves on to the cap of, like I said, the cap of coach is $9 million. and $12 million a year. I mean, come on, that is crazy. And I get what these schools are thinking. Like, look, we'll invest $12 million into the football program for good. We make over 100-some million. Like, we're making money, we're investing. But it's getting, like, these numbers get nuts. When you go from a guy like Mel Tucker, 5.5 to 9.5, and I thought it'd be 7, the new offer. And now I don't know what Lincoln Riley makes. I think he makes about 7 maybe. Now you're going to pay him 12? $12 million? Like, that to me is fucking bananas. Like, that is crazy. Like, I get it, it's investment. It makes a lot of money for these schools. It is what it is, but it's like, wow. But like I said, a lot of this shit's rumors, and that's why I wanted to talk about it still, because it's like, can't believe every little thing that we hear right now, where there's a lot of smoke going on, and a lot of this could be an agent for Lincoln Riley to get him more money at Oklahoma, right? Like, oh, LSU is going to offer 8 years, $96 million, that's $12 million a year. Maybe we up around Oklahoma. Look, he'll stay if you pay us $10 million. Like, he'll stay. Like, this is like, and it's only going to get worse because, like I said, more jobs are going to open up and more shit's going to go down. So it's like, this is just the tip of the iceberg. But, you know, like I said, it is nuts right now. Everything is going crazy. And you just have to look at it and go, okay, just take it with a grain of salt, understand it, learn it, and view it, right? All right, the next thing I'll talk about here, I didn't write it down because I felt like it was a waste of time to write it down. We'll go through the college football rankings a little bit. Look, there, I mean, nothing changed. It was nothing for me to sit around and bitch about like I have been the last 2 weeks. I mean, look, it's going to get dicey after this week because of the games, and I'll go through the games after this, but that's when it gets crazy. But Georgia State's won. They're the best team in the country, without a doubt. They do need to start playing JT Daniels, though. You keep playing Stetson Bennett, he's not going to win you a national title. You need to start playing JT Daniels, and if they don't, Georgia doesn't win it. I'll say it right now. They do not play JT Daniels, and they still play Stetson Bennett, they're not winning. They're not winning. I'm telling you right now, they're not winning. Alabama 2, Oregon 3, OSU 4, Cincinnati 5, Michigan 6, MSU 7. That's all stayed the same, right? And then Oklahoma losing, dropped them down from, they were 8, now they're 13. Notre Dame jumped up to 8. Oklahoma jumped up to 9. Wake jumped up 2 spots to 10. Baylor jumped up 2 spots to 11. Ole Miss jumped up after their win over Texas A&M. BYU's now 14, Wisconsin's 15, Texas A&M moved back to 16, Iowa's up at 17, Pitt's 18, San Diego State's 19, NC State's 20, Arkansas 21, UTSA 22, Utah 23, Houston 24, and Mississippi State 25 with 4 losses. A lot of the bottom stuff, like I said before, is to help out teams at the top to get them better wins, or to make their resumes look better right now. You know, like Houston, that helps out Cincinnati. Utah, that helps out Oregon. Arkansas, they were ranked last week, but moving them up to 21 this week, that helps them because they play Bama this week. So there's like a lot of this shit that goes on to make a lot of these look different. But like I said, after this week, it's going to get a little dicey because MSU and Ohio State play. That's going to shake up a lot of things, and that's when you're really going to start seeing it. Like with these last 2 or 3 weeks of regular season, a lot's going to change, but nothing crazy this week. I mean, the scenarios are going to be crazy, like to think in. That's just, I mean, like I said, the rankings are the rankings after this week. They pretty much stay the same. This week, after this next Tuesday, it's when it's going to get dicey. I truly believe, especially with the games we have. And now I'll segue into those games. All right, number 7, MSU, 9-1. They're 9-1 at number 4, Ohio State, 9-1. Ohio State is a 19-point favorite. I think that is crazy. That is a huge number for a number 7 team who beat the number 6 team, right? But they had the bad Purdue loss, right? I think Ohio State wins. Money line is what I'd bet. I would not bet them. Like I said, I'd bet Ohio State money line because 19 is a big number. That is a big number. Now, look, I think Ohio State wins think Ohio State wins by 2 touchdowns. Michigan State has no pass defense, and Ohio State has playmakers. And I say playmakers. Pretty much Michigan State's pass defense is garbage. It's 2 thumbs down. They let the Purdue kid throw for 500. They let the Michigan kid throw for 350. It's going to get torched. It's going to get torched. It's been torched. It's going to continue to get torched. So I think Ohio State wins. It's a big game just because of the playoff implications, because 2 9-1 teams. Ohio State has basically murder's row these next 2-3 weeks. If they play Michigan State. It's going to be a tough game, but I think Ohio State pulls it off. And the next week they have to play Michigan at Michigan. And then if they win that game, then they have to play Wisconsin. And I know Wisconsin has got 3 losses and they got blown out by 2 top 8 teams. But it's Wisconsin's playing better. That's still going to be a tough game. So Ohio State basically has murder's row. They get through that, I could foresee them being number 2 at the final rankings. But they have to get through this week, and I think they will. Like I said, I think they'll win by 2 touchdowns. MSU just, pass defense-wise, it's not a good matchup. Not a good matchup against Ohio State. And therefore, I think Ohio State wins it 2 touchdowns. I think it's early, it's tough, it's a noon game. That could hurt, but I just foresee Ohio State having too much firepower on the outside compared to Michigan State's firepower on the outside for defensively. And I think MSU's going to score, but I think Ohio State wins. All right, number 10, Wake Forest, 9-1, travels to Clemson, who is 7-3. Clemson is a 4.5-point favorite. They're at home, like I said, like I've said before, and I always will say it, home teams usually get 3. Traditionally, home teams get 3. This is an interesting game because my gut tells me Clemson's going to win this game. That's what my gut is telling me. My gut is telling me, hey, Clemson's going to win this game. I don't know what it is. Clemson, I know, has been not good all year. And blah, blah, blah. But there's just something about it that it's man, Clemson, they could win this game. But with that being said, I'm going to go with Wake Forest just because Wake can score a lot of points. Clemson's offense has not been good. But Clemson's defense is good. That's my problem, right? This is one of those games. I will go with Wake Forest. This is what you do as a guy that picks games, is you don't listen to yourself. But I'm going to go with Wake Forest. And this is more because I'd like to see Wake beat Clemson. I'd like to see them lose 4 games. Just so Dabble gets all pissy and continues to be pissy. But like I said, this is one of those games where it could go either way. My gut and my mind are working against me here. But I'll go with Wake to beat Clemson. Iowa State, 6-4. At number 13, Oklahoma. Oklahoma coming off their loss. They're 9-1. They're a 3.5-point favorite. I brought this game up. You go, Caleb, Iowa State's 6-4. Why would you talk? Because Matt Campbell's been throwing some fucking shade. The Iowa State coach. We look at this guy as a hot coaching candidate. Came out and said something about his goals not to win Big 12 championships and blah, blah, blah. Then what the fuck do you play for, guy? I think Iowa State and Matt Campbell are one of the most overrated programs and one of the most overrated coaches. They came into this year, their quarterback's been there, Brock Purdy's been there for 12 years. Running back's been there for a while. And all this talk was, oh, can Iowa State make the playoffs? They're going to be this great team. They're 6-4 and about to be 6-5. Are we sure that guy's a good coach? In the fucking Big 12, mind you. The Big 12. They beat Oklahoma State, but it's you beat them because of a bullshit fucking taunting flag. I think Oklahoma wins. Number 21, Arkansas, who is 7-3, goes to at number 2, Bama, who is 9-1. Bama is a 20.5-point favorite. I think Alabama wins. This one, I think Arkansas, like I said, they were really tough first of the year. They've done really well. I just think Alabama's just far better than them. The 20.5, I can see it. I mean, it's not astronomically wrong. I mean, I can see it. All right, and to me, I think other than the MSU Ohio State game, this is the biggest game of the week. Number 3 Oregon, 9-1, travels to number 23 Utah, 7-3. Utah's a 3-point favorite, like I said before. Home team usually gets 3. They will play again in the Pac-12 championship just because Utah's in the South. I know it doesn't make any sense. They're a northern team and they're in the South, though, just the way it's worked out. Pretty much the way Utah has it worked out, they're automatically the Pac-12 championship. I think this is one of those games. I don't think Oregon's very good. I think Oregon might be the worst number 3 team ever in the college football playoff polls. Ever. And I know there's been some teams, right? Like, you're going to look at Notre Dame and all the other teams that have gotten blown out in that position. I think Oregon's fraudulent. I think Oregon is due for a loss. I think, not that I think, I heard this on the radio, Christopher Magdal Russo. They talked about how Oregon has trailed in the last 2 out of the last 4 games. They're like, what? Oregon's playing with I get it, backup quarterback. I just don't think they're very good. I think Utah beats them. Like I said, I think Oregon's just fraudulent. I think they're due for a loss. And this is where, if the scenarios happen, this is where this playoff thing's going to get dicey next week. That's why I said this is what's going to be fun. Like, this week it was calm, cool, collective, like pretty much the same. This next week, it can go fucking haywire for all we know. So like I said, I have OSU beating MSU but not covering. I would take money line. Wake over Clemson, even though my gut is telling me Clemson. Fuck the gut sometimes. Iowa State, they lose to Oklahoma. Arkansas gets beat by Bama. And I think Utah knocks off Oregon. I just think it happens. I think it does. It's pretty much going to wrap it up for today's show. Like I said, I think paying these coaches this amount of money, it's getting fucking wicked. I get it's an investment. You pay $12 million for a coach. Plus, like, that's the other thing we don't talk about. You pay $12 million for the head coach. What's his salary for the assistants? Another $12 million. So you're paying $24, $25 million. I get your investment's $100 million, probably more or whatever if you're good, but it's getting fucking wicked out there. It is getting wicked. So I don't know. We'll see how it works out. But like I said, these games this week are going to be really good. They're very impactful, and it's only going to make the dominoes start falling. That's going to do it. Thanks for watching.